2005, Celine Dion and her late husband bought a 5.7-acre oceanfront property in Jupiter Island, Florida for $12.5 million. They had created a sprawling estate with all the bells and whistles and amenities that you could possibly think of. But just a few years after completing this project, Celine listed the home for sale for a whopping $72.5 million. And this would be the start of a saga that would drag on for nearly half a decade. At the time, people couldn't understand why Celine Dion sunk so much money into a property that clearly would not be able to support the needed resale value. Everybody was also shocked by just how extensive and elaborate the estate actually was. And of course, there were questions as to why this couple would spend 5 years of their lives and tens of millions of dollars building such a customized estate only to have a change of heart after living here for just a couple years. Another crazy story we're talking about today, you guys. A bit of a sad story, to be honest, especially if you're Celine Dion. Today, let's talk about how Celine and her late husband lost nearly $50 million on their mansion in Florida. Now, like I said, this all started back in 2005 when they bought the plot of land at 215 South Beach Road. They paid $12.5 million for it, which amounted to over $2 million an acre, an incredible amount of money, even for today's standards, let alone in 2005. The goal here from the get-go was to develop and create basically a mini resort, okay? A home that checked all the boxes, a home that gave Celine and her family a place to escape to, and let's put it this way, they definitely accomplished that. This estate would take about 5 years to build, and when it was finished, it would feature a 10,000 square foot main residence, 2 4-bedroom guest houses, a beach house with a massage room, a tennis pavilion, a golf simulator, a pool house, an outdoor kitchen, and I saved my favorite part for last. Celine built a private water park here featuring 2 swimming pools, a lazy river, and water slides. Can you imagine having a full-blown water park in your backyard? Like, not just a swimming pool, a water park with a lazy river and all that? A little ridiculous, but also awesome. The icing on the cake for this property, of course, is the water frontage too. The estate featured 415 feet of private beachfront, and at the time, it may have been one of the most unique oceanfront homes in the entire state. So yeah, the timeline here is what's interesting. They buy the lot in 2005, they finish the build of the house in 2010, and by 2013, they're already relisting their house for sale. That initial asking price was $72.5 million, which understandably made headlines everywhere. But outside of the fact that the property itself was one of a kind, it was sitting in one of the most expensive and prestigious parts of Florida. Located just north of Palm Beach, Jupiter Island is a sliver of town with a population of right around 800. And even to this day, home prices around here are through the roof, with the most expensive listing asking almost $50 million. There's currently a 5-acre plot of land out here that wants $35 million. Then there's plenty more homes for sale in the region, priced from $5 million all the way up to $25 million. I mean, if you want to live here, the bare minimum you're going to pay is $5 million bucks, and even then, you're only going to get like a 2,500 square foot house that might not even be right on the water. But yeah, Jupiter Island is an exclusive area. It's a very private area, so it did make sense as a place for Celine Dion to live at the time. The property might have checked all the boxes for a celebrity hideaway, but that exclusivity came with its own challenges that would present themselves down the road. Surprisingly, all the photos are still on the listing from back when this house was for sale, so let's take a look at this all together, starting with the specs, okay? 13 bedrooms, 21 bathrooms, 19,000 square feet. I gotta say, I just love it when the clouds look like this for a real estate shoot. It drives me nuts when I see photos on an expensive listing like this with like a gloomy sky. It's just not right. See, when I was saying that this place is right on the water, I wasn't kidding. It is right on the water. Yeah, you can see the whole main backyard is massive. Tons of grass, lots of maintenance. Naturally, this is one of those types of houses where you're looking out at the water from basically every room. One thing I noticed as I was looking through the photos the other day is there's a lot of interesting room shapes and a lot of interesting pitches with the ceiling in here. Place came with a little spa massage area. Then over on this side of the property is when things start to get fun. This is how you know you made it. When you've got a sunken fire pit area inside of your swimming pool where you can sit and look out over your pool at your water park. Here's what the living room looked like inside. We've got the the main kitchen area. I've never seen this before. Look at these chairs tucked up against the kitchen island. Talk about a bar stool. Wow, then as you're cooking dinner, that is your view from your kitchen island. I could live here. Speaking of views, this is what the view looked like from the bedroom. I think this is back whenever square TVs were still a thing. That's crazy. Absolutely massive master closet. Here's another bedroom that looks like it could definitely be the master. This one has a TV that looks like it flips down from the ceiling. Can you imagine living this close to the ocean and being able to just walk out to that every morning? Anyways, guys, the photos just go on and on and on. This is a huge property. The grounds seem like they go on forever. And yeah, here we go. This is what I was looking for. I was actually kind of worried that drones didn't exist back when this house was listed for sale. Look at this place. Main house, guest house, pool house, lazy river, tennis court. You've got everything you would ever need here. Okay, so we've seen the listing, we know the backstory, but as epic as this house was, and as great of a location as it was in, how and why did it sit on the market for over 4 years, ultimately only selling for $28 million, a whopping $45 million less than the original asking price? Well, there were a few issues at play here. That's typically the case for houses that sit on the market a long time. The first and most obvious issue being that this was a home that was custom designed for Celine Dion and her family. See, if you're a production builder and you're building homes that are meant to be resold, you're going to build those houses with the most generic finishes possible. That way you can cater to the most wide pool of buyers as possible. If you're a spec home builder, you're going to add some more custom and unique details and amenities, but it's a good plan to still be somewhat generic and make sure you're sticking to the current design trends when you're picking your finishes. But when you're Celine Dion building a house for yourself and your family, you're going to pick finishes and furniture that you personally like with no regard to what the future buyer might be interested in. Looking back at the actual finishes themselves that Celine Dion picked out, honestly, not my taste, but they're also not horrible. And as far as the furnishings are concerned too, I'm gonna be honest, they're not all that bad either. I don't know if this was her furniture or if this house was professionally staged, but either way, the furniture is actually decent. I think the issue is that even more important than the finishes and furnishings is the property itself. I mean, let's be honest. What we've got here is a floor plan with a lot of awkward shaped rooms combined with the very specific layout of multiple guest houses, plus the added water park, and then we've got the fact that this house was like 4 times bigger than your average Jupiter Island home. This all makes it to where the buyer pool was very narrowed on this house when it was listed for sale. So yeah, if we're making a list, issue number 1 is that there's just not a whole lot of buyers out there who would be looking for this very, very specific product. Issue number 2 though, no doubt, was the location. I personally wasn't paying attention to Jupiter Island real estate back around 2014, but homes all up and down this stretch were sitting on the market a long time with a lot of price drops. Moving on to issue number 3, most importantly and obviously, the listing was priced too high. From day one, it should never have been listed over $70 million. It seemed like the highest priced homes in this area were selling in the range of $8 to $10 million at this time, which is a lot of money, but still nowhere near $72 million. And yeah, if you're thinking about it on a price per square foot basis, a lot of those $10 million houses were only like 5,000 square feet compared to Celine's 20,000 square foot house. But here's the thing. Not a lot of people are looking for a 20,000 square foot house. If you've got that big of a house, it's gonna be a lot of work. You're gonna deal with stuff like maintenance costs, staffing, utility bills are gonna be through the roof. You're not buying a house at this point, you're straight up buying an operation. And yeah, it's gonna be hard to find somebody who's willing to take on that huge responsibility, especially if they're not the person who originally designed the house. In the end, it's likely that Celine Dion and her late husband spent something like $25 million between the land and the construction of the house itself. So with it ultimately selling for $28 million in 2017, at best, they probably broke even, especially after you factor in commissions and fees and holding costs. But as somebody who has sold a lot of houses over my lifetime, I can tell you that you kind of get emotionally attached to that original listing price. Like, I'm sure there was a moment in time where Celine Dion genuinely thought that her house was going to sell for $70 million, meaning that she would be walking away with a $50 million payday. The emotional roller coaster of dropping your asking price again and again and again over the course of 4 years, even for somebody with a net worth of around $500 million, makes this whole story a bit sad and even somewhat relatable. That's a wrap for this week's episode, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button down below before you go and leave me a comment. I love reading your guys' comments. I'll see you next week.